we begin with the president's trade war escalating tonight. This evening, the retaliation against the United States, Canada, and the European Union responding quickly, just hours after President Trump's 25% tariff on all steel and aluminum coming into the United States.
In recent months, Tesla has fallen on some of the hardest times in its history. The company's stock has plummeted 53%, and that's just the beginning. Why, after years of ups and downs, is the company suddenly at the center of a global panic, finding itself on the cusp of its most serious crisis yet? Tesla faced a host of factors that began to erode its once invincible image: a clash with politics, problems in the European market, and competition that is getting tougher all put the future of this company in question. What is happening to Tesla, and can it return to its former heights?
I'm not happy with the European Union, I want to tell you.
Will you put tariffs on
and we're going to
cars?
win that. We're going to win that financial battle.
First of all, it is worth paying attention to the severe drop in sales in Europe. In January this year alone, Tesla's sales volumes fell by 45%, and in Germany by 70%. How is this possible when the electric car market is growing? And here's the answer. Consumers in Europe are starting to trust the brand that once seemed like the undisputed leader less and less. Many are beginning to wonder what is happening to Tesla. And the answer appears to be one thing: Elon Musk's own personal political statements are beginning to influence brand perception. Let's remember what's going on around Musk. Over the past few months, he himself has been the subject of constant scandals. His controversial political statements on Twitter and his clashes with European leaders have alienated a lot of European customers. Some believe that Musk has gotten too caught up in his political battles and has lost focus on business. Others say Tesla simply can't stand the competition. Whatever the case may be, the company is losing its positions, and with them its money.
Canada, the largest supplier of steel to the U.S., slapping new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods that are sold in Canada. And the 27 countries of the European Union imposing retaliatory tariffs on up to $28 billion worth of U.S. goods sold in Europe, including Harley-Davidson motorcycles and Kentucky bourbon. President Trump with the Irish Prime Minister visiting the White House today. The president suggesting his tariffs won't stop here, saying, "Of course, I'm going to respond." And tonight, right here, the new poll showing 56% of Americans disapprove of President Trump's handling of the economy. The number's even worse now on the president's tariffs.
External economic factors should not be forgotten either. The duties that were introduced by Trump have significantly increased Tesla's costs for production facilities and supplies. Against this background, Tesla is forced to raise the prices of its cars, which gives an advantage to competitors. With each passing day, more and more companies like China's BYD and NIO are entering the market with an aggressive strategy and starting to occupy the niches that were previously dominated by Tesla. In parallel, the company's stock is losing investor confidence, and there is anxiety in the stock markets. So what is happening to Tesla? Why is it losing confidence despite its reputation as a revolutionary brand? Duties, competition, political scandals, everything seems to be against this company. And now the question becomes, who or what will save Tesla from total collapse? Or are its best days behind it, and Tesla will never return to its pedestal again? Today we'll break down how domestic politics and the global economy have changed the landscape for Tesla and what the near future holds for the company.
After Trump imposed those sweeping 25% tariffs on aluminum and steel imports, the European Union retaliating with tariffs on up to $28 billion of U.S. goods. Trump making it clear this isn't over, vowing to respond in kind with sweeping retaliatory tariffs early next month.
They're doing what they should be doing, perhaps, for the European Union, but it does create ill will. And as you know, we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs. So whatever they charge us, we're charging them.
Canada also striking back with new tariffs on $20 billion worth of U.S. goods, mostly steel and aluminum, but also computers and sporting goods.
In recent months, Tesla has found itself in the midst of one of the most serious storms in its history. The company, which was recently considered invincible, is now experiencing a sharp decline that has affected not only its financial performance, but also its reputation in the global market. It all started when Tesla's stock began to plummet, losing 53% of its value in just a few months. This collapse in the stock markets was caused by many factors, among which political instability and growing competition played a key role. But the biggest blow to Tesla has been the political crisis caused by both internal and external factors. Particular attention was drawn to the strengthening of trade duties and the impact of political statements from Musk himself, which led to a serious decline in confidence in the company. Against the backdrop of these crisis events, it suddenly became clear that political instability was a serious problem for Tesla. The company's shares began to fall after Donald Trump, in his campaign to protect American manufacturing, announced the introduction of new tariffs on goods from Europe. These measures had a negative impact on Tesla, which, although it had a large manufacturing base in the US, was dependent on sourcing components and supplies from markets in Europe and China. In response to these sanctions, Tesla was forced to raise the prices of its cars, which not only reduced sales but also worsened its competitiveness against other global manufacturers. Trump's tariffs hit Tesla's car prices particularly hard in Europe and Asia, where the company has traditionally had a strong position. The problem wasn't just financial losses, however. Musk found himself at the center of a political barrage. His statements in social networks and controversial political statements did not go unnoticed. This immediately triggered a negative reaction from European consumers who have always bet on environmental friendliness and social responsibility. Musk, who openly supports various political views, became increasingly controversial to European audiences, which accelerated the decline of trust in the Tesla brand in the region.
Tesla is a peaceful company. We've never done anything harmful. I've never done anything harmful. I've only done productive things. So I think we just have a deranged, there's some kind of mental illness thing going on here, because this doesn't make any sense.
As the economic situation worsened, the company's European sales began to plummet. In Germany, the largest market for Tesla in Europe, sales were down 70% in January this year, compared to the same period last year. This was a shocking result considering Tesla was previously one of the most successful brands in that market. Europeans appeared to have started abandoning Tesla models, preferring alternative brands such as Volkswagen, BM and especially the Chinese brand BYD, which is aggressively entering the market with competitive and cheaper models. This has come as a real blow to Tesla, as the company is used to dominating the electric car market without facing any real competition. On top of that, against the background of growing sales of new Chinese cars, Tesla had to face the rising cost of its cars, which made it less attractive to buyers.
We've accomplished more in 43 days than most administrations accomplished in 4 years or 8 years, and we are just getting started.
He praised all the domestic actions he has taken so far on immigration.
And I deployed the U.S. military and border patrol to repel the invasion of our country.
And spending cuts.
We are draining the swamp. It's very simple.
The problems in the European market were a vivid reflection of a global trend affecting Tesla around the world. Competition from manufacturers such as BYD, as well as increasing pressure from Volkswagen and other European brands, has meant that Tesla is no longer the only significant player in the electric car market. Moreover, amid rising raw material prices and new economic headwinds, it has become increasingly difficult for the company to maintain its previous production and sales pace. The duties imposed by Trump have increased Tesla's production costs in other countries, forcing the company to raise the prices of its cars. At the same time, economic instability in Europe has led to a decline in purchasing power, further adding to the company's financial woes. The crisis in Europe was the catalyst for a further collapse in Tesla's stock. In March 2023, the company's stock lost another 7% of its value in a single day. This was the final nail in the coffin for many investors who had previously considered Tesla a buy for the future. While other electric car companies such as Rivian, NIO and BYD began to gain acceptance in the stock markets, Tesla lost its role as a leader in the electric car market. Musk, as the leader of the company, became the epitome of the problem as his political statements continued to fuel controversy. His involvement in international political issues, such as the trade wars between the US and China, only made things more difficult for the company. Thus, Tesla's stock plunge is not just the result of the stock market crisis, but also the result of multiple factors that have combined to put the company in a vulnerable position. Increasing competition, production problems in Europe, and Musk's controversial political statements have created a veritable storm that threatens Tesla's future. The question now is not only whether the company can regain its position, but also what the future holds for the company in the face of global changes in the automotive market.
Well, this feels more like a Tesla-only story when you look at just this fall in EV sales for them, that they're suffering across Europe, down 45% in January. The wider EV market in Europe up 37%, so rivals are catching up and performing.
The situation with Tesla is becoming increasingly unstable, and one of the key factors that are worsening its situation is the policies of Elon Musk himself. In recent months, his statements and political statements have become not just a topic for discussion in the media, but a factor that seriously affects the company's reputation. Musk has always been a man whose words and actions have caused interest and sometimes controversy, but what has happened to him in recent months has turned him from an innovative leader into an object of fierce criticism. It all started when Musk, as he has in the past, continued to actively voice his opinion on a host of political and social issues, from social media to the economy, particularly on the Twitter platform. These statements began to heavily influence the perception of the Tesla brand, especially in Europe, where the company had initially enjoyed tremendous popularity due to its image as an environmentally friendly and socially responsible manufacturer. Soon after, Musk began openly espousing certain political views, such as conservative positions on environmental and economic issues. His personal beliefs began to displease European consumers, who traditionally hold more liberal and progressive values.
Outperforming as well in some cases, doing better than Tesla. And you just have to think, how much more is this a sustained issue for Tesla going forward, given the fact that you have Elon Musk, who's been very forthright in his opinions, particularly weighing in on politics, particularly in Europe. We've just had the European elections, which Musk has been very focused on. But across the piece, when you look at the performance for Tesla in Europe, it's not just in small countries. There are a lot of countries where Tesla has been performing badly, including in Germany, in the UK, where it has been lagging, and Spain as well.
Not to forget how Musk began using his personal positions and platforms to interfere with the company's financial processes. One of the most controversial moments was his public statement that Tesla should not be valued as a car company, but as a technology giant, which raised expectations among investors. However, when those expectations were not met and the company's stock began to plummet, Musk tried to intervene again, stating that the market just doesn't understand how important Tesla is to the future of humanity. This statement caused a storm of criticism, as most investors saw it as an attempt to justify the company's failures and shift responsibility to external factors. Musk continued to do his best to keep confidence in the company, but his own statements, which seemed disconnected from reality, further eroded shareholder confidence and led to further declines in stock markets. Amidst these internal problems, Tesla continued to face increased competition in the global market. Chinese companies, such as BYD and NIO, began aggressively entering the European and US markets with cheaper and higher quality vehicles. These brands, unlike Tesla, did not face problems related to their founders' political remarks. While Tesla was losing its share in the European market, Chinese manufacturers were gaining strength due to the low prices and high quality of their cars.
Tesla shares have slumped by more than 9% amid a fall in sales in Europe. The electric vehicle maker posted lower sales across 5 European countries, including France and the UK. Joining us now to discuss this is CBS News foreign correspondent Remy Inocencio. Remy, why do we believe these sales are dropping? What's driving that?
Sure. Well, Errol, basically what Elon Musk has been talking about over the past, say, few months, ever since Donald Trump's election back to the White House, that has been fueling this anger, this frustration. Some even say disgust towards Musk, and they're taking it out on Tesla. Tesla now feeling the pain. But because of what's happening here in Europe, Tesla sales fell by nearly half across the continent just last month, 45%.
One of the biggest blows to Tesla was the surge in electric car production in Germany and France, where local companies began offering consumers the same benefits as Tesla, but without the political scandals that surround Musk. For example, Volkswagen introduced its new lineup of electric cars, which included significantly more affordable models, which attracted significant attention from European buyers. This was a critical time for Tesla, as the company was already facing a drop in confidence and could not offer the same competitive pricing. Domestic problems, political instability, and competition caused Tesla to start losing its competitiveness in crucial markets. Although Musk tried to keep the company afloat, the introduction of new models and the production of new technologies could not compensate for the drop in sales in Europe. Expectations that were attached to the new Giga Berlin plant were not met. Production capacity did not ramp up as expected, and the plant faced a number of legal environmental hurdles that slowed it down. Ultimately, Tesla found itself in a difficult situation where even new models and new projects could not compensate for its vulnerability to growing competition and a weakened image. The company that was once considered a leader in the electric car market now faces many challenges, and chief among them is the instability within Tesla itself, largely caused by Musk's personal political statements. A host of factors, from internal instability and personnel changes to competitive pressures, have brought Tesla to the brink of crisis. The company is increasingly losing investor confidence, and if the situation does not change, it risks losing its role as the leader in the electric car market. Against the backdrop of growing difficulties, Tesla has started to face increasing pressure from investors who have begun to lose confidence in the future of the company. This is due to several factors, chief among them a decline in Musk's credibility and his controversial statements that increasingly overshadowed the company's strategy. At some point, it became clear that the company itself and its shareholders were beginning to experience a crisis. The stock markets panicked, and investors, disoriented by the sharp fluctuations in the stock, began to sell their stakes in Tesla en masse.
That's from the European Automobile Manufacturers Association. People just choosing with their wallets to not buy Teslas because of that Musk-Trump association. And actually here in London, an activist group called Everyone Hates Elon actually have been hacking bus stop signs with posters. I actually passed one yesterday. First, I wasn't quite sure what was happening, but it said the words 0 to 1939 in 3 seconds. Illusion here, 0 to 60 in like 3 seconds or something. But this poster was alluding to the start of World War II, and the image was of Musk giving that hand salute that we saw at Trump's inauguration that many have attacked as a Nazi gesture. Musk, though, has neither admitted or denied what he was doing. But we're seeing the knock-on effect of that anti-Musk anger across Europe and in terms of sales.
Even the largest institutional investors, who had once bet on the company as a stable player with huge growth potential, began to reduce their investments. As a result, Tesla started losing huge amounts of money in the stock markets, and its market capitalization dropped by tens of billions of dollars. One of the reasons for this was that Musk was playing his role as a public figure, as always, but this time his actions were a source of not only controversy, but also lost confidence among those who had invested in Tesla. Despite several statements that the crisis is temporary and Tesla will get through the difficulties, investors began to doubt that the company will be able to regain its leadership in the market. The market was shocked by Musk's statements when he once again drew parallels between Tesla's future and the company's importance in the perspective of humanity. But instead of regaining investor confidence, these speeches only increased concerns that Musk had lost focus and was more interested in his projects in other areas, such as Twitter and SpaceX. Investors began to question how seriously Musk could stay involved in Tesla when his attention was so often diverted to other areas. This created even more doubts and increased the negative perception of the company. To make matters worse, news of Musk going on extended business trips and his social media mentions that diverted attention away from the business only added fuel to the fire. Some of the major shareholders began publicly stating that Musk should focus on Tesla and stop meddling in the affairs of other companies if he wanted to regain investor confidence and resuscitate his company. Despite this instability, the company still tried to regain lost ground by focusing its efforts on expanding production and cutting costs. However, capacity issues and growing competition, including from Chinese brands, continue to be serious obstacles to recovery. Tesla has been forced to offer discounts on its cars in some regions to support demand, but the moves have raised further questions about the company's long-term strategy. The price cuts, despite rising costs, had a negative impact on profitability, and investors began to further question Tesla's ability to meet its targets. As a result, the company's stock continued to fall despite Musk's repeated attempts to calm the market. However, there are still those who have not given up hope for Tesla's recovery, viewing its problems as temporary. Some analysts believe that this crisis may be followed by a series of strategic maneuvers that will help the company to return to its former positions. For example, perhaps Tesla will decide to invest in new technologies, such as mass-producing cheaper batteries or new car models that can better compete with the growing number of Chinese manufacturers. Others suggest that the company may focus on expanding its network of charging stations and improving its infrastructure, which would give it a competitive advantage in the long run. Reducing Musk's public social media activity could also be an important step, which would improve the company's image and regain the trust of consumers and investors. In addition, Tesla may try to strengthen its position in developing countries such as India, where the electric car market is just starting to develop but already has a high growth potential. Investing in new markets where competition is not yet as strong could give Tesla a chance to rebound, as well as help offset losses in older markets such as Europe and the US. However, despite the possible solutions, Tesla's future remains very much in question. Unless the company can make the necessary changes to its strategy and regain the confidence of shareholders, its future could be in serious jeopardy. In addition, with increasing competition from major manufacturers such as Volkswagen and Chinese brands, the question of Tesla's survivability amidst such trials is becoming more and more urgent. Time will tell whether the company will be able to cope with this crisis and regain its leadership in the electric car market, or whether its best days are behind it.